Thank you. The What It Takes Radio Company presents, first of all, the world needs to hear your story, how to be a world-class podcaster. And then you need to understand the times and know what to do. And so you also should be a part of the Issachar Project. And for both of you, it's time to develop your signature in all the things about you, what you do, and what you say. Here we go. Here is the double program for both of you great audiences. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. And I also call you friends because I hope that is what we are becoming. What I'd like to do today as we come to the end of this week is combine two of the video productions I'm doing, and this may help you understand a little bit about what we do. First of all, I'm one of the guys who kind of invented in some ways the idea of podcasting and brought it into a beginning when it was just a hobby. That was based on the fact that I'd had a long career and experience in international broadcasting and just doing it all the time, even in small and private ways. And podcasting was basically invented by people like me who decided to just do their own private radio programs and send them out to people, either on, as I did, a cassette or try and send them on the internet in some way. And that was kind of hard to do for some time because the bandwidth was very small, particularly when the internet was primarily done over phone lines. But when the bandwidth expanded, it was possible for us to, in effect, make a little radio program and then put it on our web stage or our website, or perhaps actually send that file to somebody and they could download it or listen to it. And that's how we began what became the podcasting revolution. And so today, and I'm just simply doing this as a rather interesting article came out, and it simply said this, has this been or will this be the end of the radio star? And then they had the great big not. It's not. And then they went on to say that in effect, in spite of all the things that are happening, radio is still very real. And we will be talking about that as they then demonstrate that radio is really the medium, the audio medium that will still be a major player in the way we do communication. However, a little bit of a caveat, and this is where a lot of people are obviously going to be upset. The radio that's real is not real radio. It is not the radio we've had before. It will not be the radio station that you've listened to on the car radio or perhaps in your home, though isn't it ironic that most people don't have radios in their home anymore? Think about that. And all of a sudden, they're trying to pass a law in the American Congress which will force automobiles to have AM radio as part of the outline of media services. Now today, of course, you can have AM radio, you can have FM radio, certainly you can have satellite radio, and of course now the internet radio is also a part of what you can have. However, keep in mind that the car makers are not very happy with that. They don't want to provide free radio. Now, it used to be that they actually could charge you extra for having a radio in your car. Well, they really can't get away with that anymore. But of course, if they want to make it a good sound system, they'll charge you extra for that. But basically, giving people a radio is kind of expensive and they don't particularly benefit from it. So they would love to change it so that really, that when you got in the car, if you listened to a radio or a satellite service, you would have to pay for the privilege of doing that, subscription radio. Now that may be a long ways off, but it's not going to be too far off because that's what they want, and they'll find out and figure out a way of doing that. But the point is that, as the article pointed out, the digital radio is what used to be more practical and certainly less expensive than television in terms of production costs and in terms of the cost of being on the air. And of, let's say, if you want to produce a 60-second commercial, video-wise, just producing it is really a lot of hard, heavy work and very expensive. And that doesn't include the cost of then putting it on the station and paying for the distribution cost for the hundreds of thousands of watts of electricity and all of the equipment and towers that go in to sending it into the airwaves. However, what will perhaps be the future is that radio as we know it is exactly somewhat what I do every day in this small room in a very small but very adequate studio that has basically, in comparison to all of the other people who do real radio, has minimal expense. So that's a way of saying I do two kinds of programs. One is called How to Be a World-Class Podcaster. That's because I know how to do that. And I also know that it's not just about being a podcaster, it's about being a broadcaster, being a world-class podcaster. It's not just about getting in front of a microphone and recording something and posting it. Lots of people do podcasts, but very few people know how to be really good at the art of radio. So that's what that program is all about, and it continues, and this is part of that today. The other part is what I call TIP, or the Issachar Project, and those of you who are perhaps involved in that know that this comes from my career working a lot in religious Christian radio, and understanding that if you want to do that well, you have to understand three things. First of all, what's God's message? What are God's methods? And how can you make that work on the modern media? So that's primarily for those people who would call themselves Jesus broadcasters. Now, a lot of the things that we'll learn in either one are compatible. They're certainly not competitive, but of course there are different interests and different things that you're going to consider. And this is where I'm bringing them together and simply saying this is for those of you who are tipsters, the Issachar Project, and this is for those of you who are concerned with the fact, I really believe, and I now know, that this kind of media, real modern radio, is the future, and it is one of the significant features and futures in how we communicate anything that we want to get people in front of. It is internet digital, perhaps satellite, sometimes sophisticated, but it is that kind of radio that we are involved in. And that will be around and be successful for many people for a long time. With that in mind, please, hey, here's the deal. If you're going to continue to be a person, and remember, that's the vital thing. The AI voice will never quite make it. Oh, it will be very good, and it is very good, and it will be very professional, and it won't, like I had to have to catch my breath. It will be so perfect that it will lack the human element, the human touch. It will be a robot voice, and it will be pretty good. In fact, in many ways, it will be more versatile. If you want your radio program to sound like John Wayne, it can do it. Now, of course, you can't claim that it's him, but you can make it sound like him. And you can see that what's going to happen is the amount of fakery is going to just skyrocket. However, we have to keep it human. And that's what I'm all about. You have to have the qualities, both in terms of you are smarter than the robots. You are smarter than what the robots can steal. You have uniqueness, you have personality, you have energy, you have wisdom, you have some insights, you have ideas that the robot can't get because you are the only one who really has those and can share them with others. So what I'm going to ask you to think about now is just do this. If you want to be a 21st century broadcast, media, radio, television, video communicator, you as a person have to really develop a signature style and signature sayings. Now, just let that sit on your head, but here's what it means, and I'll give you just a couple examples, and you might then work it that way. First of all, your signature style. Just the kind of person you are, how you dress, how you respond, that there is a certain personality to who you are. There's a certain person there, a real person. And it has consistencies. It has things that are pleasing and pleasant and pleasurable. In effect, it wasn't just Rush Limbaugh's words that made him a incredibly popular person. See, I'm human. I got that wrong, but I corrected it. Popular person. It was the fact that he had a style and a personality that conservative people wanted and liked and enjoyed. And that very words and personality drove his opponents crazy. And he would say, that's exactly what I want it to be. I want it to be that people love me, and I know that there will be people who don't like me and perhaps even hate me. But as long as I've done nothing to them, it's just who I am and what I believe, I'm okay with that. He had a signature style. He had a signature voicing, and he had signature lines and sayings that people loved, He used to say, when he was holding up a piece of paper or something like that, he would say, in my nicotine-stained fingers. And the point was, he was going back to the fact that in his youth, he had been a significant smoker. And in effect, he'd quit smoking. Now, it still may have been part of the factor that eventually took his life, but he had been that, and that was a signature expression. He's no longer a smoker, but he used to be. On the other hand, he was not a cigarette smoker, but he loved cigars. And that was still part of his signature style. So, variety of sayings and expressions. I've been known for a line that I caught many years ago when I was doing request radio late at night. And I basically, by accident one time, said something like this. I said, well, we have a letter. I have a request here from James. Just James. And to make it fun, he's from Jamaica. And hey, he'd like to play a special song just for him. He wants his favorite song played today. And then I would give the name of what he wanted. And then I would pause and say, James, in that wonderful place called Jamaica, this is for you. They love that. When Stan would say, this is for you. I was also quite well known for an expression which I use all the time right now. After making a comment or opinion, I'd simply say, just let that sit on your head for a while. Now, I one time went through my logbook and my notebook, and I think there are about 25 different expressions that I like to use. Some more than others, some less than others, but they were signature ways of saying, signature ways of being. So I'm going to encourage you right now to look at your own personality and who you are and what you may want it to be. What is the image and the persona and the style that are your signatures? It has your name on that saying. It has your name on that expression. It has your name on that style of broadcasting. It has your name on the way you dress or appear. What are the signatures that you, in your performing career and your performing appearances and your performing programs, are those that are signature to you? Think about that. And now also start watching some of your other performers that you are aware of and maybe perhaps admire, and begin to say, yeah, that's the thing I associate with them. That's the words, that's the song, those are the sayings. Those are parts of their signature. So that's it for today. Whether you are a world-class person seeking to be a world-class podcaster, at the same time, you are seeking to be a broadcaster in the religious, spiritual, what I would call the Jesus broadcasting world, all of those things are important. People don't want the robot. They don't want just the voice. They want a human being, a real person, and that person has uniqueness, has wisdom, insight, and truth, and certainly a touch of humility, and they're real, and there's something about them that we find striking, unusual, sometimes attractive, sometimes funny, and sometimes we just shake our head and say, oh my, there they go again. But you know, that's who they are. Signature ways, signature sayings, signatures certainly in who we are and what we're doing right now. Hey, that's it for this week. But you now think about in your performance. And by the way, this is true even if you don't want to do a radio or a video program. Remember, business is show business. Every business is a stage. Work is always theater. You have to be a performer if you want to make your mark in the world today. So think about that. What are the signatures that you leave all around the work and the way you do it today? I'm Stan Houston, and here I am to help you be successful in the 21st century and help you get your act together. And isn't that exactly it? We're on stage. We have to act. We have to perform. We have to be on stage, and sometimes we leave stage, but we're always seeking to connect with our audience. And our job with What It Takes Radio is to help you define and discover or create your audience, then reach them, and then connect with them, and have them give you time, and have them, in some respect, begin to trust you. And then perhaps are influenced by you, and perhaps in some way their life is better. And in a way, as you better their life in the things you have and the things you service and the things you sell, you make your life better, that it is truly a worthwhile and fruitful and profitable relationship for all concerned. There we go. That's it for right now. Again, I can help you be successful in this world of radio and television broadcasting. Reach out to me at stanhusted@gmail.com, stanhusted@gmail.com. All the best, and always close with a benediction. So all the best and blessings. Take care. Do good work, and do it all the time. And hopefully you might feel a touch of a divine pleasure from time to time in what you do. Bye for now. Well, thank you for being with us, those of you who are world-class podcasters. And thank you, those of you who want to understand the times and know what to do and be part of the Issachar Project and be world-class Jesus broadcasters. And we invite you to be in touch with us. Please reach up to us and out to us at stanhusted@gmail.com. That's stanhusted@gmail.com. Or leave a message, USA 520-664-7002. And we'll be happy to get back to you and help you as we can. And remember, this is brought to you by the What It Takes Radio Company.